Hi, I'm Emily Carson.
Okay. Now, Emily, if you could go back in time and undo or change one moment, when would that be and what would that moment be?
Okay. Well, back when I was in high school, I was a junior, and one night I decided to make cinnamon pancakes for my family for dinner. So my mom was very proud, as I hated cooking in general. So she did the usual mom thing where she had to take pictures and post on Facebook how proud she was. Anyways, my youth pastor's wife, who was pregnant at the time, she saw my mom's post on her Facebook wall, and so she posted on my wall that she would love to eat a batch of my cinnamon pancakes. Well, it's important to note that ever since we found out she was pregnant, the entire youth group had called the child growing inside of her fetus or the fetus or fetusy or some other form of the word. So, in response to her comment on my wall, my brilliant 16-year-old self responded, "Sorry, there's a special ingredient in the recipe that could cause fetuses to die." And followed it up with a winky face, just for good measure. It wasn't until 5 years later, when I downloaded the Time Hop app, that I realized what a ridiculously insensitive comment that was, as I made a dead baby joke to a pregnant woman for the whole world to see on Facebook, and thought I was clever and witty at the time. Thankfully, the child was born without any complications, or else I would have totally despised myself.
Go back in time and undo a Facebook comment.
Yes. Well, okay. There's a little more. You don't realize things when you're 16. Sometimes you don't realize them when you're 21, looking back on what you did at 16. So I didn't realize this even then. But since then, I had forgotten that my youth pastor's wife had had a miscarriage a year prior to my dead baby joke. And I feel like that comment damaged the relationship that I had with her, because I feel like she didn't know how to handle a comment like that, probably thinking I was really being offensive, which I didn't mean to. I didn't consider any of that. So, it damaged the relationship, but also, my husband and I have been married for 3 years, and he had said ever since I met him that he wanted to have children right away, and I had asked him to wait 2 years after we were married. Well, it turns out I'm having a hard time getting pregnant, and I just can't help but wonder if that comment kind of brought all of this on myself, So I feel like maybe had that comment not been made, I would have a fully intact relationship with my youth pastor's wife, and perhaps I would be able to have a baby right now.
What would that life look like with a baby? That's what ultimately you're hoping, that you can undo this negative karma that you've brought on,
Right.
and live this life.
Yes. Well, I feel like it's really unfair to my husband, because this is very important to him to have a large family, and I had already asked him to wait 2 years, and I feel like I did something that could affect maybe the rest of our lives together, and I feel like that's just really unfair. It's just a really unfair situation. He didn't know it when we got engaged. I didn't know that the comment would have that big of an effect. Maybe it didn't, I don't know, but I'd sure like to find out. Plus, like I said, I feel like I really hurt my youth pastor's wife, and I never would have wanted to do that. Plus, everybody else who saw my post on Facebook, I'm sure, thought that I remembered that she had had a miscarriage. I didn't, so I'm sure there's a whole group of people out there that think I'm just highly insensitive, and that's not the case.
How would you go about getting past you to not make that remark?
Could I not be home? I would have to get myself out of the house. Okay, then maybe the easier thing is could I like cut the Wi-Fi in my house? There we go. I would cut the Wi-Fi. I couldn't respond to Facebook. My mom couldn't post it on Facebook. So dinner would still be intact. I would just get rid of the Wi-Fi for an hour.
Easy said and done.
Yes.
I think that would do the trick.
Oh, I would hope so. I don't think I was that bad at 16. I just think I lived for the moment without considering the future. I'd like to think that I truly was a kind, sensitive, caring individual. At least that's how I remember me. My actions are speaking a little differently, but I don't think I was that bad. Don't ask my mom, though. She might have a different response.